RoundTable. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the RoundTable. Actually, technically, this is a half round, so this is a semicircle table. Thank you for joining us and making us part of your Thursday afternoon, wherever you are watching. If you're listening on the WWDBTV phone apps, we welcome you there as well. We appreciate it. Checking in, of course. I can't do this show alone, nor would I want to, because it'd be pretty silly when you expect three and you only see one. To my far right, we're renaming him the Mouth.
The Mouth.
George Miklos, the Mouth of the show. He is here with us, and of course, the man in the middle that everybody knows, Mr. Rick Upchurch.
Hi, the man, the legend.
And I'm Aaron Phillips.
Good to see you guys.
That's right. And I'm Aaron Phillips because I said so. Anyway.
The voice.
The voice. Back. I am the voice. And so, well, last week I was here.
Yeah.
I was here with everybody. It was fine last week. As soon as I drove out of here last week, I felt the stuff settling in right here. Ooh. And I was not on any other show last week. And George, thank you. Tip to you, sir, for hosting and filling in for Aaron's Hour. You did a yeoman's work, sir.
They really like it.
And Rick Shipley really carried you in that show. But anyway.
Yeah, and not only that, but he kept me awake. He really did. He kept me awake.
I did.
Rick did. Rick. Yeah, Rick did.
I was going to say, does that
Rick, are you listening?
I got your back, big dog.
Thank you. But great job. And
Thanks,
you'll see George filling in for me more often if I'm not available.
That was fun.
So good job. Good job. So anyway, listen, we got a whole lot of stuff. By the way, the chat room, we are lit up and we are following it. So please send in your comments, questions, thoughts, queries, innuendos, pseudonyms, homonyms. If you want to sing a hymn, that's okay too. All right, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to go football heavy for the most part,
right?
But not necessarily talk about the game, which we will. I mean, the game's 2 weeks away, so we can really save that for next week. But a lot going on in the world of the NFL. Some news broke yesterday, which I would love to get into, about some guy named Tom Brady. I heard he was pretty good. I don't know if it's true or not, if you've seen him play, but I've heard he's thrown a few touchdowns. He's been in a couple of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Also, too, though, of course, terrible news coming out of Memphis as well within the last week, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But as always, I like touching base with my cohorts because we're that kind of family around here. How was your week? Yeah, I called you, messaging with you the other day. You were on a movie set.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What movie were you on? Was there some big actor or somebody?
I can't talk a lot about it, but
can you say the name at least?
Yes, day 4 of filming was yesterday.
That's the name of the movie?
No.
That's a long title.
No, Alien Storm.
Okay.
Kevin Sorbo is the star of the film.
Yes.
And there's a couple other stars that I won't mention, but I was extremely excited. I have been bugging these producers for, it seems like years. It has been years, and months. But they do 2
months
or 3
together, by the way, make up years.
Right.
Just so you know.
Right. Well, they do 2 or 3 films a year. They're independent filmmakers, and they raise money online on these money. Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and they have an amazing way of raising, 6-figure, money off of this.
Well, maybe they need to help us with our show.
Right.
Yeah, where are they at?
I actually discussed that with them last night when we had a break.
Right.
So they're open to. I invited them to come in to talk about their
ventures.
It's called the Mahal Empire.
I'm familiar with the name.
Yeah. It goes on Facebook. You can see it. The movie's called Alien Storm.
Okay.
And I'm going to play an alien, and there are no photos of these outfits. They're not going to be seen until the movie.
When is the movie set to premiere?
Well, normally when they independent films, I would think by the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next.
So just remember, when you come big and famous, don't forget us little guys.
Please,
please.
Gee, I'm humbled to be seen the next year.
I love you, man. I love you like a hog loves slop, man. Help your boy out, okay?
And the man to my right, Mr. Rick.
Let's do it.
Yes,
How
sir.
did you outrun this past week?
Oh, let me tell you.
You want to give a special shout out first?
I do. My wife, her birthday, man. Yesterday was her birthday.
Happy birthday,
and man,
we
just absolutely love this woman. God takes care of babies and fools. I don't know which one I am, but boy, she sure does take care of me, man. She's one of the most warm, Talented, just talented. She knows how to sew. She can make suits. She can do all that stuff. Been in the financial, businessman for years. Worked down at the one of the casinos at the Riviera for years in that whole deal.
Old school Vegas.
Well, yeah, old school. Yeah, she was down there in the old school, and she was there in the race and sports book. So she handled millions and millions of dollars every day in that whole deal. Yes, feeding out that money and all that type of stuff. So happy birthday, baby! And once again, we had a great day yesterday, and we're going to continue this into Saturday. So we're not finished with you.
I was going to say most ladies when they celebrate birthdays, it's a whole month celebration.
It is a whole
right?
month.
All right. So
Right.
Yeah. So that's all right. Listen, you know what? God bless her. I know your wife. She's great, and you're right. She's a lovely lady. Except for my wife and your wife, every lady in this world should be what Donna Upchurch is in terms of who she is, a support for her significant other and whatnot. She's a great lady, and happy birthday. Many, 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 many more to you.
We're going to have to get together, all six of us.
Yeah, that's what we should do. We should have like a dinner birthday party thing.
Hey, my man, I'm down like 4 flat tires on a dump truck, guys.
Man, so let's got all the puns, all of them.
Anyway, good stuff. Listen, I look forward these weeks. When I used to collect, I was in credit collections years ago. The months would go by fast because it seemed like every 30 days, which is the case. I was always closing out records and starting the new month. It's like, man, it's another month. Well, guys, we're a week. Every week seems to fly by because next thing we know, we'll be on next week's show wondering what happened to last week's show.
Yes.
Because time flies. We have a great time here. We enjoy each other's company. We're genuine people sharing our thoughts and opinions, except for the guy behind the board. He's a whole nother story.
Yeah, he is. He's
my happiest hour.
He's a different guy.
It's the happiest hour of the week.
Different. Every so often he pops up back there, right?
It's like whack-a-mole.
I keep trying to tell him to stand up. He says, I am. So.
And man, you should be a comedian.
That's right.
I mean, he should
somebody
do stand up.
Got to do it.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, so we have a lot to do. So what I'd like to do, and I'd like to suggest, let's start off with the NFL, at least for this segment, because I don't want to cut short any conversation about
Memphis, NFL
because we're looking at a break in about 9 minutes or so, and I don't want to cut that conversation short.
Right. Yeah.
So let's pick a topic. So please understand, we're not necessarily going to talk about the game and dissect it now because there's still next week's show where we can get down and dirty and talk about our predictions and stuff. But it's no question the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are in it, the number one teams in both conferences.
Yeah.
But we know that the Pro Bowl's coming here this year before the Super Bowl. 2024, the Super Bowl will actually be here.
Yes, it will.
People say Las Vegas probably makes a lot of money because of tourism, as is in casinos and everything and all the conventions. But Rick, you've done some research on this. The economic impact, aside from jobs, because we know the game's going to need a lot of people, right, and all the events. What does that mean to Las Vegas as potential revenue to help our city?
Well, it's going to be huge. I mean, talking about the tax revenue, you're going to have people flying in from all over the world. And it doesn't matter what language you talk or whatever, and that deal, money talks in this situation.
Right.
So, and it's also corporate. They focus with corporate. Corporate has that big money that will buy up, all of the seats in that hotel. Okay. And so for the common person, it's going to be awful hard for them to get in. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And so with all these corporations and all these big businesses flying all of their business people in that hotel, economics is just going to be over the top. It's going to be huge.
Now, you mentioned the price of tickets. So I want to go back, George, to when the Golden Knights started. The first year they were here, pricing was very reasonable for the common family to be able to go. Then they had that great first year. We were in the finals. And then the second year, forget about it. Everything was corporate. The prices got jacked up. And I don't go unless we've been lucky enough that somebody says, hey, I got a couple extra tickets. Take them.
That's exactly.
Right. So we saw what happened there with the Knights. Now, ticket prices now, a lot of T-Mobile has become corporate, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So I think what Rick touches on is the fact that a lot of these games are really out of reach financially for the common man.
They are. It's terrible too. Like you mentioned, I've been to a couple of Golden Knights games, but the only way I would have been able to go is the way I did.
Right.
And one of the times I went, we were invited to the upper, they call it the living room. It's at the top, and that's on the, I believe, like the south side upstairs, and they have, it's like sitting in their living room.
I was up top the last game
on the couches,
and I saw those.
And the crowd is behind you right there.
Yeah.
watching it on the screen, and then we have the private waitress, the food and drink. And I had friends of mine, they were, I think, Chicago Blackhawk fans, and they flew out here for that. And we got lucky to hang out with them. I got photos of that night, but that was fun. Probably never be able to do that again. But then I went to another game where I sat in the stands and stuff. It's fun. I'm not a big hockey guy. I understand the game and all that stuff. It's just I never played it, so I just kind of, I was a football, basketball, and track guy. But it was fun. It was cool.
But the thing about it, though, we have to understand these different leagues and what they're doing. Remember way back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, it was more people. I mean, when I was there in Denver and at Odell and people would come in, these were the common people that I would see every day. And some of the folks, it would be, I had sat at their table, right? They bring their 4, 5, 6 kids with them. They were able to afford it.
Speaking of that, how much were the tickets when you played in the Super Bowl back then in 77, 78?
I think they were about $65, $75.
Wow.
And now, if you wanted to
get that to park here nowadays,
right. And now, if you go up and if you went up into the corporate, the suites and those things in that Odell, it was naturally going to be more. But for the common person, it was affordable. Once again, they could buy a couple of hot dogs for the kids. They could buy a couple of sodas or some ice cream and some potato chips for the kids. Even the hot dogs today. I mean, you might have to, cut it into fourths or whatever in that Odell and share it.
$10
and if I drink a beer, I might have to share it with you. You know what I'm saying? So today is just not economically feasible for the common family. Corporations, they get it all. We had an ECHL team here, the Las Vegas Thunder, that played at the Orleans Arena.
I remember that.
Remember them?
Yeah.
And I remember that Ricky Cash and I, we split a season ticket package. For a family of 4, so my wife and I would take our twins to catch a game for whatever game. It's $50 total for 4 of us to put our butts in seats. Then a hot dog or all right. So the food at the concession stand. So you're going to get your chicken fingers and all that. $25 at that time for all of that for 4, still not bad. But where else at that time for a family of 4 to do something as a family, to go out and enjoy something for $50 for 4 people? You can't even do that for 2 people to walk into a movie theater.
Remember the Las Vegas Outlaws, the Canadian Football League team they had for a couple of seasons?
Absolutely.
Like $25, $30 out at Sam Boyd. I went to 2 or 3 of those games. They were fun.
Well, simply because the National Football League is what it is, the Shield. Of course. Certainly they can set those prices. And everybody's going to go. And that's just it. I think what they're doing is you're looking at the big dollars and who can afford them. And we know it's mostly corporations and the TV and all of the sponsors and everything else. Now, the local people to Las Vegas, unless you're a huge fan of the 2 teams that will be in the Super Bowl that year, will more than likely try to figure out a way to go see it because you live here. You're in the city where it is, right? But those high prices are not meant for you and me to go to that game to pay. That's where all the tourists, the companies, and everybody traveling in from all over, I think that's really where they expect the money to be spent, not necessarily from the local community.
Now, the good thing I like about some of these corporates, they like have maybe their top employees, and maybe they'll give them tickets for them and their family for their reward for their work during the year,
like a bonus kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
The other thing is this: when you look at the size of the stadium that you're playing the Super Bowl in, or if you're playing in a cold environment, or if you're playing in a warm environment, because once again, when you look at the size of the stadium, they have to adjust the prices, right?
Well, Vegas is pretty small in the NFL with 65,000 seats.
That's small for the NFL. Yeah. What's the one in Arizona that they're playing this in 2 weeks?
Well, got to be 80, 90,000.
Isn't it a college? I thought it was the college stadium.
No,
it's their own. Oh, that's right. They have they have one built in Denver. Denver is 75,000. I didn't realize they were getting that big. How much is SoFi? How many people are in SoFi? Do you know what their attendance?
That's got to be this. I know that. I know for the Jerry Jones to Texas, the 100,000 could be seated in there.
Really? Okay. Well, I have to admit, I didn't realize it got that big.
SoFi, it's got to be 75, 80,000.
Okay. Absolutely. So it's 70,000 people. Let's say round numbers, even for our Legions. Which, by the way, since I mentioned Legions, you guys saw the article. Yes. I'm sure $7.5 billion is being poured into a stadium
that they just opened up 3 years ago.
7.5 million. Let's not get crazy.
I thought I saw billion.
No, it's $7.5 million.
Okay, $7.5 million. I feel a little
which
bit.
is still a lot.
Still a lot of money for a stadium that just opened up.
Yeah,
right?
3 years old.
It sounds like, obviously, they may be doing all this ahead of the Super Bowl. I get that. But that's a lot of money.
Luxury suites. They're going to add seats. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
They have to.
For sure. And Denver, they're getting ready to do their thing. They're getting ready to take down their scoreboard and put a big, massive scoreboard up there, man. And that whole big jumbotron and that whole deal. $100 million.
Got Walmart money now.
Worth of renovation. Absolutely. We have Walmart money.
That's right. That's right. Well, half of it probably just went to Sean Payton. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
Woo, baby.
We'll get to top 25 million. I had to say it. Highest paid coach ever.
Yeah. For one Super Bowl win.
25.
Let's paraphrase
which
that.
bothers me a little bit.
Right. Because they were making it talk about that on ESPN or Get Up this morning.
And look what they gave up, though. I mean, I look at what they gave up, but I think we're pretty stable over in Denver as far as our football team is concerned.
I think so.
You just needed one man to guide the team and come in with some credibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm an AFC West fan, so I don't want to see everything get too out of,
Right. Well, now Sean Payton's got to deal with two of your biggest quarterbacks in the league in your division. Right. Between Herbert and Mahomes. Yeah. I mean, that's some pretty big
God
competition.
knows about the Raiders. Who knows?
Well, George, I'm going to put your name in for the next quarterback. Okay.
For
I want you to go over there. Yes,
about.
absolutely. I think you can get it done.
Just give me health insurance. That's all I care about.
I'll
play. Just give me the health insurance.
That's right. Listen, George Blanda played till he was almost 50?
50,
yes, holds the record. 28 seasons.
That's right.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, 45 was what, 22
Well, I'm
seasons?
glad he didn't.
Yeah,
23. I'm glad he
22
didn't break
was
there. I'm glad he didn't stay longer. He would have to play 3 more seasons to beat George Blanda. There's no way.
But remember, George went from quarterbacking to place kicker.
Right.
So place kicking, how many years was he a kicker rather than being under center?
Right.
That saved the longevity of his body to play that long.
That's right.
That's
well, he always, I don't know George Blanda, he was just, I don't know him, but he always used to say, I guess, that I'm a quarterback that knows how to kick field goals.
All right. Well, either way, though, the tail end of his career, he was kicking more than he was passing.
Even though he was the AFC or AFL Player of the Year in 1970, just before the merger.
And the thing about it, the physicality that quarterbacks took back then, I'm amazed that he was able to stay in the league that long. Because they used to take the quarterbacks and throw them down on their heads and break their necks and all kinds
They'd
of
have to give Tom Brady a dress back then to wear.
Y.A. Tittle on his knees.
Those were the tough guys. Yeah, all that rumors. Yeah.
All right, it's time for us to go to break. Hey, by the way, if you didn't notice, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, which means you have 6 more weeks of the roundtable coming up. With that, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we got a lot more to talk about. That is George. That's Rick. What's his name behind the board over there? JPEG. I'm Aaron. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stand up, John.
The groundhog.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
Oh, welcome back.
I don't know.
If anybody can put in the chat room how to properly spell Punxsutawney.
P-U-X.
Really? Well, wait a minute.
Oh, Jesus.
Now you tell us.
Oh, we got the spelling bee back there now, huh?
Anyway, because we were talking about on the break about how the tradition 130 some odd years ago started.
Yep.
And I was going to look it up, but I couldn't get past the P. I didn't know what to do. I could spell Phil. I got Phil down. But the Punxsutawney thing.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, all right. Welcome back to the roundtable. We got a lot going on. If you're watching, thank you. If you're listening on the app right away, by the way, Android devices, WWDBTV is what you search. If you have Apple products, WWDBTV.LV, like Lawrence Victor, right? LV? Yeah, Lawrence Victor, right? Yeah. What is it in the military? What's LV in the military?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's all I LV. I don't know what the hell.
Smart ass.
I thought it was love.
It's been 40 years.
But like A is alpha, B is beta.
All I use Alpha, Delta, Charlie.
God.
Yeah,
Why do you want to go that
don't
deep,
know
man?
anything.
I don't know.
Shoot, you taking us somewhere off the road,
Cold
man.
medication will do that. That NyQuil, dude.
You're taking us off the road into the wilderness now, big fella.
Hey, listen, just close your eyes, dude. I'll drive.
That's
All
it.
right, with that, we got a lot going on. Let's change gears because we're not going to take a break at the bottom. We're going to go to quarter of.
Cool.
And I want to spend as much time because then at quarter of, it's what time?
America speaks.
And we got a few topics we want to go over.
Yes, we do.
But I want to give us enough time because we don't want to brush over what happened in Memphis. So
No.
if you've been living under a rock, real quickly, if you want to just recap kind of that sad story.
Well, this young man was on his way home, and he was just, minding his business. And so some police officers, they run up on him. And they stop him and tell him to get out of the car. They didn't tell him to get out of the car. They ran up on the car, opened the door, and tried to pull him out of the car. And they did pull him out of the car.
Did they have probable cause?
They said that he was either speeding or made a bad turn, something real stupid, just simple in that whole deal.
Right.
But we got to understand the culture of who that was. When you talk about the Scorpion unit that they had there, just like down in Atlanta, they had another unit down there. I forget the name of it, that was similar to the Scorpion unit. And that Scorpion unit was developed back when the crack epidemic was going on, when the streets, once again, were really, with gang members, and they were trying to clean up the streets in that whole deal. But once again, they gave them, immunity to anything that they did because they were the tough guys that were on the street and said, we're not taking any crap off of y'all. We will kick your ass in that whole deal. But once again, if they're not under scrutiny, if they're not under good management, they're going to go amok. And that's what these guys did. They went amok and pulled this young man out of the car. They told him, hey, get on the ground. He was already on the ground. He told him to turn over. He turned over. They put the cuffs on him in that ordeal. They told him, and they were calling him all kinds of names, all kinds of stuff in that ordeal. I would be frightened with those guys, all of those guys, African-American guys. Well, once again, African-American guys are different. They're different. They're intimidating. And when they come out and we got 5 of them, man, coming at you in that ordeal, you're going to be frightened. You're going to be scared. You're going to be intimidated. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And these guys showed no mercy to him. And then he gets tased. He pulls the taser out. Then he runs. Here's my thing. When somebody's running from you, you're afraid. They're afraid of you.
Right.
They're not a threat to you.
Fight or flight, right?
Yes, fight or flight. And he ran. And when they caught up with him, he was only 3 houses from his mother's house. And they catch him again. And then they got him on the ground, and then they kick him in the face. And then he could pick him up off the ground, and then they punch him 3 times in the face with his hands behind him. Now, I'm just saying, I understand police officers want to come home. They want to go home to their families because the streets are tough. But once again, our police officers are there to protect and to serve, not to be brutal and killers. That's the problem I have with that whole situation and that whole deal. And then when the paramedics come, they just sit around and they do nothing.
I was just going to mention that was my, I'm not called pet peeve, but of this whole situation, I was thinking, what the hell? They were there. And they didn't even examine him. That was one big pet peeve about the EMTs being there, not doing anything. And then you would have thought it before he even took off, started running, they would have known by then that he had no record. He had no record. So why would you treat someone like that had no record? He had no priors.
These are tough guys.
And these are 5 black guys on a black motorist.
This is tough guy. But once again, it's not about whether you're black or white. It's the culture of our police departments. It's not color. It's about your culture. Is your culture tight? Do you put a fine-tooth comb through it so that then if they are responsible for hurting or killing someone, there should be consequences. You have to be accountable for it. Remember, the police officers, they have immunity. They can't be sued. Nothing can happen. That's why they're trying to get police reform going, so that then if you all of a sudden you can tell those police officers you can lose your home, you can lose your retirement, you can lose your livelihood, then I think they would think twice before they would do something like that, guys.
I think one thing in this that stands out from past situations with police. I mean, George Floyd is the name that comes to immediate mind.
Rodney King is for me.
Okay, and that's even better. Here you have African-American police officers with an African-American victim. I'll say victim because that's really what it turned out to be.
Right.
Where in the past you had white officers with an African-American victim.
Right.
So we're not hearing the race card here.
Well,
So unless I missed something.
Well, again, there's certain news outlets and certain people that come out of the woodwork when stuff like this happens saying, well,
so where's the conspiracy?
Yeah, well, if it was a white motorist, they wouldn't have beat him. So there is a bit of racial, you know. I was like, and I was like, wait a second. You know, now you guys are not satisfied now. I mean, it was black cops on a black victim, and now you're still wanting to pump the racial aspect into
well,
it.
the only
if
thing
it was
about
a white
that,
victim, they wouldn't have touched him.
The only thing about that, I'm just going to say this in that hotel. I don't know how many times, and I've done my research of how many times I've heard of a black officer killing a white person and brutally beating them. I haven't seen it. Show me.
Rare, if anything.
Show me. Very rare.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Maybe that is true. Once again, remember, if you're in an environment where you're controlled by other people in that whole deal, you have to be able to prove to them your loyalty.
Right.
And you know, when I've been pulled over before, and you don't see the little lights, I'm thinking, oh fuck, what did I do? Oh my god! And now even me, I'm thinking, oh shit, oh my god, you know, even me. So it's you never know.
And here's the other bad thing about it. The police chief that's there in Memphis, she was the police chief down in Atlanta. And the same thing happened.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the unit that they had down in Atlanta, they went into a 91-year-old woman's house and went and rousted her up. It was the wrong house, and she ended up dying. So something has to be done.
Maybe the leadership and the people of
the leadership, but also there has to be consequences. Take the retirement.
Right. Why wasn't there a management or a superior officer on the scene? They said that there was just all these 5 guys that had been on the police force 2 or 3 years. There was no supervisor, no sergeant that showed up and said, "Hey, man, you know."
Well, that Scorpion unit was developed way back in the 70s. It was because, once again, the crack epidemic that was going on and the robbing and the stealing in the neighborhoods. That's why they developed it, because the folks in the neighborhood were calling for some help.
You would have thought, though, that once they found out this guy had no priors, okay, sir, and I saw the video, and sir, I'm trying to get on the ground. Get on the ground. Oh, they wouldn't even give him a chance to do it. And first of all, if he had no priors, I would have been kind of okay, the guy doesn't have any, he's not had any priors, not any trouble. Let's take it easy on him. Yeah. Jesus.
And the other thing, guys, is that, remember, those guys in those units, they have quotas of how many people they stop, how many people they arrest. And if they don't reach their quota, they don't get paid, right?
Right.
So a lot of those guys are saying, hey, man, I'm going to get my money. Right. And this is the guy that we can do it with.
But I think it goes back to the very beginning. What was the reason they pulled this young man over?
Well, it was a minor traffic offense.
Was it honestly like a broken taillight kind of thing?
Yeah, something like that, or speeding, or not signaling.
But the thing about it, one of the police officers already had a prior too.
Really?
Again, the standards of hiring police officers has gone down across the country, and in Memphis, they said they had lowered some of the standards. So some of the candidates probably weren't meant to be police officers.
Properly vetted, maybe?
Yes, probably.
As they should have been?
Right. Yeah, and most of them, and it comes from training. Right. It comes from the top. And once again, the police chief, I'm going to say this again, she was down in Atlanta. Right. A gentleman knows her. He says, man, she was down here, and the same thing was going on. Well, so it has to come from the higher up.
Well, they mentioned that about her, that there's some questioning of her leadership.
Well, after the first incident, she raised a red flag.
Right.
And then if Memphis were to have had this information or knew of what happened in Atlanta,
They still hired
it should have been flagged by somebody.
Absolutely.
Now, is this something in this particular case only? Let's look at the police chief for a moment.
Yes.
Could the governor step in terms of addressing the chief first about what happened in Atlanta? Now we got a trail, there's smoke, now we got fire, and maybe start there with some disciplinary action. Does he have the ability to do that? Does he even have the power to do that?
Right.
But somebody's got to be over there. You have the police chief, then a commissioner, but the commissioner's got to report to somebody,
Right.
probably the governor.
And I think that maybe the attorney general of the
somebody,
state.
right?
Yeah, the
somebody,
attorney general.
right?
They have
because-
state the top cop.
Absolutely,
I guess.
and that would make sense. So I would start there as one of the things to look at from a broader picture.
Right.
What is wrong with this chief? Okay,
Right.
here. Let's not wait for a third time. Then from there, you should be looking into the police officers. You got a record already, or whatever it was. He should be fired immediately.
Yeah.
Regardless.
You shouldn't have a record and be able to become
That's
a
right.
police officer, no matter what.
Of course.
That's right.
Misdemeanor, or
Totally
maybe, but
agree.
nothing,
That's right.
no felony.
So if you have a record, how do you give him a gun?
Right.
Think about that,
Right.
folks. A police officer who has a record. I don't know what it was. I don't know what he was arrested for. Now you're giving him a gun to police the type of people that he was prior to putting a uniform on.
Absolutely.
He should be disciplined, fired with no more pay.
That's
if he's entitled to get his pension for his couple of years served, fine.
Get it.
You
That's
get
right.
a couple $100 a month for what you earn.
That's right.
Good luck getting something else. Now, the other officers, I don't know their backgrounds. I don't know if they had any issues, but certainly a review board outside of the Memphis Police Department should be looking into this case for discipline in terms of deciding what to do with the police officers. They can change anything they want about it moving forward, but there's one fact that they can't change. It ain't going to bring back this young man who senselessly lost his life.
Yeah.
Because of 5 individual cops, for the sake of description, got high on their authority.
That's right.
With a minor traffic accident,
Right.
traffic issue to
Right.
pull this young man over who's on his way home from work or wherever he was.
That's coming.
3 houses from his mom's house. Now, if something was going on outside and he hadn't reached his house yet, here's a thought that just popped into my head. Where are the other neighbors?
Denise and I were watching, and it was in a neighborhood.
Okay. What time of night was it? We know it was
8
evening,
o'clock.
wasn't it?
Wasn't
so
that
it was
late? I'm
early.
thinking, well, where's all the neighbors? That's what we were discussing. Now I don't see anybody else but the cops and the 2
Because
MTs.
the red and blue lights had to been
Yeah, I
flashing,
would have
right?
looked out the window in my neighborhood.
But let me tell you, in certain neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that we probably don't know anything about, the people there in those neighborhoods might be skeptical.
Yeah.
They already know who these guys are. They know they patrol their neighborhood.
Right, it's very possible. I don't know.
I know what, back home, back in Toledo, all the kids knew who the good cops were and who the bad cops were.
Right.
And they wouldn't even approach them.
Mhm.
But the good cops, the kids and the parents would come out of the house and
Say
go out
hi,
there and talk
hang
with,
out.
hey, what's
Right.
going on? Play
Right.
basketball and that type of stuff.
I can see that. Hey, I just want to remind everybody you are watching the Roundtable coming to you live from the WWDBTV studios in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. That is the mouth, Mr. I can't even. I have to.
The mouth.
The mouth, Mr. George Miklos, of course, Rick Upchurch. I'm Aaron Phillips. And we're getting into the conversation of what transpired in Memphis. We were talking some NFL in the opening segment a little bit, but this situation in Memphis, again, it's just sad here locally. A student in another high school, this high school just escapes me now which one it was,
Yes.
but the child brought a gun. The high school student brought a gun.
Yes.
So this stuff, what is going now? Have all these things been happening over hundreds of years of society that now all of a sudden, because of social media,
Yes.
all these things are being exposed to a
Yes.
degree that they never were in the past?
That's
Maybe the same number of instances were happening. We just didn't know it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
So
Yeah.
is that a possibility? Because I got news for you. I am 58. I just got married. I was married 34 years ago. I have 2 beautiful daughters who'll be 30 in August. But if I was 25 now, when my wife and I were talking about starting a family, don't you think we'd have been sitting around saying, do we really want to bring kids into this society today
Right.
Yeah.
with gun violence and drugs and schools being unsafe and everything else?
Right.
Well, for me as an African American,
Mhm.
it goes all the way back to slavery because once
Sure.
again, if you were a free slave and you escaped and you got across the river and into Ohio,
Mhm.
you had the slave police that could still go over into a free state and
Bring
bring
back.
the slaves back. So once again, in the African American community, we understand who the police were. The police were the guys that were coming after us to put us back into slavery.
Right.
So we already understand who the police are.
So the 5 officers thus far, what's happening with them?
They all got bail.
So they've all bailed out. So what's the case in terms of trial or legal?
They said
they're
it's a while
criminal?
back.
Is it going to be a criminal case?
Yeah,
it's going to be a criminal case.
Have they been suspended?
They have been suspended.
Yes, everything's been jail, bail, and suspension.
And again, I don't know if you guys can. I'm just going to keep rattling questions off.
Sure.
Do we know if their passports have been taken from them?
No, we don't. They haven't got into that yet.
So is somebody monitoring these 5 individuals?
I'm sure they are.
Okay.
I'm sure they have. If they're on bail, they probably have the
ankle bracelets.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fair. And do you know what their bail was? I'm just curious.
No,
I didn't read that.
I don't know what their bail. They never even said.
I mean, for
what their
murder,
bail
you
was.
got to think. I don't care who they were.
It's
You
gotta
got to
be
figure
high.
it's got to be at least a 6-figure bail number somewhere. Even though you only have to pay 10% of
I
bail.
think.
But still, it's a chunk of change.
That's right.
For a police officer on any.
And I'm still shocked that all 5 got bail. I mean, first of all, they got bail over this, and then second, where'd they come up with the money from the bail?
Yeah.
Even 10%.
Well, bail bondsmen usually that's what they're there for.
That's what
Plus
they
a
sign
ton
the
of
house
interest.
over.
Or one of his boys on the street. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
there you go.
One of his pimps. They like, hey, dog, we
That's
got
right.
you. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying?
That's right.
No doubt about it. But the thing for me that once again was hurting to me was the same thing with George Floyd.
Yes.
He was crying for his mother.
Right.
Mama, and she's right 3 houses down. I get chill bumps, man. It makes me angry. It really does.
Mhm.
That we in this society, we're supposed to be a civilized society.
Mhm.
And we're supposed to have people that were supposed to what? Serve and protect.
Right.
And they go out and do this type of stuff, man. There has to be something done. I don't care. I love the police. I've gone and I've done things with police over and over and over. There's some good ones out there. But this stuff has been going on too long. We can go all the way back to Rodney King.
Mhm.
So when is it gonna stop? Everybody wants to sit around, oh man, yaddy dotty. When is this gonna stop? I'm tired of it.
Right.
I don't care what anybody thinks or says. It could be your son or your daughter or you next. It's got to stop.
I can't listen. I can't say. I don't want to say anything more after that.
Right.
Because there's nothing else that needs to be said. As a citizen of this society, it is just as sad, from my perspective, to see what's going on in this society where an innocent young man lost his life senselessly. Now,
Senselessly.
I got a message in the chat room from somebody called the RoundTable Show. Thank you, John. The officers were fired, not suspended. They have been charged with manslaughter as well as other charges. Some Denise lady in the chat room just put out there, is a war over our souls? Spread love.
Yeah.
Here's listen. I'm what I'm about to say, I'm not minimizing a flippant thing, what I'm about to say. Okay. How many people out there in this world have the passion for society like this man to my right, based on what you just heard him say? I love our society. I know George does. I know John does. I know our spouse has done and our circle of friends do. Okay. We love our society, but here's a case where bad apples, 5 of them in this case, are going to ruin the bunch for everybody else.
That's right.
Because now that community in Memphis is going to be on high alert, like he was talking about, when you know who the good cops are and the bad cops. That shouldn't be. And I don't want to start hearing comments about defunding police and everything else. You know where all this starts, in my opinion? In the home you were born in.
Of course.
Folks. Now, these gentlemen, these 5 individuals, one of them already had a record. The other 5, I don't know what their backgrounds are. But at some point, and I'm saying this because I work in an elementary school in this town.
Right.
I see these kids and know where problems start before they even walk into the school.
That's right.
Now, maybe these 5 individuals were perfectly raised as young men before they ventured out on their own in life. I don't know. I'm not pretending to know. Okay. I'm not a psychologist. I did not sleep in a Holiday Inn Select last night to pretend to play one today. Okay. But somebody somewhere within a family unit has to take responsibility for the behavior of individuals that were either under their charge as a guardian, blood related, or something else. In my opinion, that's where the problem starts. before it escalates to what we're talking about today?
Well, I have a cousin, man, who was in the police department in Toledo, female, for 28 years in that ordeal. And so I would always pray for her. I prayed for her every day that she would come home safe. And so I had an opportunity just recently I go back home and sit down with her, and I talked to her about George Floyd, and I talked to her about Rodney King, and I talked to her about the culture in the police departments and that whole deal. She says, Rick, the culture in the police departments is that, man, we're silent. We don't tell on one another.
The blue code,
yeah.
Right.
We don't do it. But the minute that you do, you could be out. You could be out on a call, and you end up getting killed.
Right, set up or something.
Right, and you don't get the backup that you. Right, exactly. It's so ironic we're talking about this today because before I left here to the studio, I was watching the end of Chicago PD, and it was the episode of like season 12, whatever it was, where why am I blanking on his name? You guys watch the show?
No, I don't.
You watch Chicago? Never mind. It'll come to me during the break. But anyway, where he saw something. He's in the main unit called intelligence with a sergeant who in the past has a checkered past. Yes. And he reported his partner on a particular case that he was not doing right. It was a bad shooting.
Sure.
So the unit that guy reported in, his sergeant, which was a different unit than the his name was Kevin, is the character. I just can't think of his last name. Right. That unit that other guy belonged to, that Kevin ratted out to IA that it was a bad shoot, that he targeted the wrong African American in this situation. Just at the end of the episode I watched, Kevin pulls up at home, walk into his car, and he hears a little whistle to grab his attention from a couple of cars down, and it was the leader of the other precinct.
Right.
And as he starts walking towards him, all of a sudden 5 cops, black mask, the whole thing, were just kicking the tar out of this guy because he did the right thing.
That's right.
And it's like so flippant ironic that I saw the end of that episode as we're talking about this. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form comparing a TV episode, but most TV shows like that
come from real
life. Right, exactly.
Do reflect
from real headlines.
Absolutely.
And here we are talking real life situation and how it paralleled.
Rick mentioned, when is this going to stop? I mean, is it? I mean, are we going to hear again 5-6 months from now another incident?
Probably will.
I mean, there's so many of them you can't keep up anymore. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to stop. I hate to say, I would love to see it stop. We all would, but you just know 4, 5, 6 months from now, something else is going to happen.
There'll be something
like
else
these cops never, right? Like these cops never learn. You don't in other cities. Have you just saw what you saw in Memphis?
They don't care.
Do you learn from that kind of stuff?
I would think cops have a certain mentality. They can get away with the law because they are the law.
Well, after this though, and after a couple of the past, you would think these guys would understand. There's cameras on a telephone pole.
No, you know why? Because they've gotten away with it before. Yeah, it's like with your kid. If your kid went to the store, right, and he stole some gumballs, right, and the store owner comes to you as a parent and says, "Hey, your son just stole some gumballs in that whole deal." And then they say, well, we're going to take care of it. And all they do is take the gumballs and tells him to go on about his business. There's no repercussions. There's no accountability for it. And that's what's happening, man.
That goes back to
in the old days, the parent would say, we're sorry, Mr. Store Owner. We'll take care of this at home. And then you go home and you discipline them. And hopefully they don't do it again.
But now they don't do it. So the kids believe
I'll call DIFUS
that they can get away with it in that ordeal.
The kid knows Child Protective Services too well these days.
But cameras exist now. You can see all this stuff. You can pick your nose somewhere on the street. Somebody will catch you.
But you don't know if that existed, except for the fact that the cops should have been wearing body cameras.
Well, they did have a camera. There was a camera on a telephone pole.
But not only that, this is how stupid they were. Right? They got cameras and they got the cams and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, they do. They showed a lot of the footage was from their cameras.
But then in their report they write something totally different. That's what I'm talking about, guys.
If you're going to do that, turn them off.
No, this is what I'm talking about. They can put in their report to make you look bad when they did all the work, and that's why I'm glad that they did implement the cameras and that, so it can tell the whole story.
Right. Without the cameras, they could have made up anything.
Absolutely.
But they did, even with the camera.
That's
Even
crazy.
with the camera.
Well, that tells you the mentality of the cops of the they're lowering the standards. These guys didn't
And the
care.
type of unit they were in, where
Right.
they can,
The Scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, guys, this is just me. And I love our people in uniform.
Right.
Been around them, used to go down to Fort Carson and visit our military and things of that nature. Most of the guys that go into police force, they come from the military background.
Right.
And that whole deal.
Right.
And we don't know whether they have issues or not. If they can just flash back every so often or whatever, and that whole deal. And then all of this, going to call, and they get hyped up and they're like, oh man, I remember I used to do this over in Nam, or I used to do this over in Desert Storm. I used to do this over in Iraq.
Or you hear a police helicopter above and they go into a flashback.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And those are things that might happen in a flash.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely. The body cam footage was apparently made public. So
Yeah,
it is
I
out
watched
there. I
it.
mean, I didn't see it.
I watched
the whole thing. It was an hour.
I'm going to have to find
An hour of footage.
All right, we're up against our second break, but before we go to break, I'm going to change gears very quickly here. You have something you want to announce about some camps?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
So
man.
I'll remind you. I got your
Absolutely.
back.
Well, absolutely. We have our camp going on this year. Our NFL alumni camp is coming around, man. Pro Bowl, Super Bowl's coming around on that whole deal. So we want to get with the kids in the neighborhood and show them some skills and some fundamentals and have some fun with them. Moreland Greenwood is our president of our alumni association here in Denver. Here in Las Vegas.
We are in Vegas.
I know, in Vegas and that whole deal. So this week at Cimarron High School, we will be having a camp there for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you want to bring your kids out, it's free. And bring your kids out so we can work with them in that deal. And then we're also going to have another camp as well at the Meadows School, which is right down from Cimarron.
It's actually on Rampart between Lake Mead and, let's just say, Vegas Drive.
Vegas Drive.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some fun. It's a one-day camp. We're going to have a lot of fun with you. There's going to be food. There's going to be autographs. There's going to be NFL players there at that one as well. And let me tell you something. We're going to have fun. Bring your kids out. Let us meet them. Have some fun with you. It's going to be a good time.
Where can they get more information?
They can get some good information. All they have to go for the camp there at the camp at Meadows. They go to AAYAFL.net. Okay, let me do that again.
I would.
AAYFL.net. Sorry, folks. I don't know my ABCs very well anyway.
I can teach you.
Yeah.
Come to my groups.
Or you just go to the NFL Alumni Las Vegas, or go to Moreland Greenwood.com, and you can get the information there.
Excellent. All right, good stuff. We want to support our youth and our community. All right, we're up against it. We're going to take a quick break because when we come back, it will be time for George's favorite segment,
America Speaks.
We'll be right back.
I'm Matt.
I'm Chief.
And I'm Aaron, and together we are
Thoughts Count Anywhere.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Right here on WWDBTV Network and all the shows that are available for you to watch. And why is that?
Because the
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help you.
One of the cops.
All right, welcome back to the Roundtable.
His ex.
We just got some more news about the incident in Memphis about
It has not been confirmed.
it's not been confirmed nor denied, but there's apparently some connection between one of the cops ex-wives may have been girlfriend may have been in a relationship with the victim. So we're confirming that. Anyway, all right. Listen, it's time to get even more serially around here.
We're going to get more serially.
All right, with that, we're going to play our intro. It is now time for America Speaks. Roll it. America Speaks. Sounds like you have regurgitation in that voiceover.
I thought it was the crowd going crazy, but no, it's not like somebody throwing up. All right. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes, we are. Let's do it.
There's a couple of things going on. This one, the gene editing company hopes to bring back the dodo bird, the woolly mammoth, and the Tasmanian devil.
Mm-hmm.
Did these guys? I think we talked about this before. Have anybody seen Jurassic Park?
I was just gonna say.
Do we need that shit? Do we really need that? Jurassic Park. Did you guys see all that shit? The dodo bird. Cute little thing. Can you imagine going to the zoo?
Why is my question?
Right.
Why?
I don't even understand what they're saying.
There's dodos in this world. We just got done talking about
gene editing, because it allows scientists to work on gene editing and helping with diseases and But bringing back the dodo bird, I mean, mommy, look at the dodo bird. Now the kid's gone, the hand's gone, the head's gone. They're talking about this ethical dilemma of bringing the species back. It requires implanting gene editing material into the reproductive system of an existing relative.
Okay.
Are they that bored scientists? You can't find something else to do?
Like the cure for cancer?
Yeah, and they're talking about a lot of these scientists that are ethical. And you don't think there's going to be one scientist out there that's going to go, I'm going to take over the world and start bringing back the Tyrannosaurus. That's humans and that kind of stuff don't mix.
Right.
It really doesn't. And the dodo bird, it's a cute little, small little thing, but it's, I just don't understand.
I want to know what America speaks about this topic. That's what I want to know. I know you're burning to know.
Yeah, I am. I'm listening. My ears are all ears.
Right. Well, they said that some people are going, again, the basic question is, did anybody see Jurassic Park? You hear that all the time.
Right.
And why bring back all this stuff? Humans and dinosaurs don't mix. I mean, really don't. I mean, the dinosaurs would take over again. They would take over again.
Well, it's to take over your imagination of what you can possibly do scientifically. They're showing you exactly what they're doing. As a matter of fact, what they're doing right now. They was just talking about all the genetic things that they're doing as far as animals are concerned, humans are concerned, our vegetables are concerned, our trees are concerned. So hey, that's why they're doing it. Science is now big and huge because they can do so much now in the environment that we're in now because we have so much knowledge and equipment to do it.
But you know what would have to happen? The Sinclair gas stations would go away.
They would.
Okay.
If you guys get that, that's
it's a dinosaur.
Right.
See?
Right.
Very funny. And somebody be dragging the emblem down the street, a big dinosaur behind them, right?
That's right.
Thank you very little. I'm out of here. Thank you for showing up. Next, what's next? I want to know what's next.
Come on, what's happening now?
This is a big pet peeve of mine. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
They came out yesterday with the inductees, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson. A lot of these great artists I listen to, but they're not rock and roll. It's like last year, Jay-Z got in. I mean, every genre of music has a Hall of Fame. Why did rap have hip-hop Hall of Fame? Or, it's not even racial. You got Eminem.
They do have a hip-hop.
Then why is there Jay-Z or Eminem's now in the Hall of Fame? It's not good songs, but it's not.
I don't know why that
it's not rock and roll. And then you got bands like Iron Maiden that have been waiting 50 years. Okay. They are a finalist again, but come on, man.
But can I say something? It's almost like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's a popularity contest.
Right.
How many people, man, like you? How many people are going to come and see the person that's going in? And if you don't have that popularity,
it shouldn't be that way. There are requirements for all the Hall of Fames are that way.
It's all about bringing in the money,
no
bro.
Heavy metal band in our country music Hall of Fame.
What I'm saying is Baseball Hall of Fame is the same way. Football, maybe not football as much. Look at All-Star games. Who gets in most of the time? who the fan wants. It's a popularity
That's
contest.
right.
So a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, is based on popularity.
Even Dolly Parton said last year when she got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's also a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Right.
She goes, well, I guess I better come out with a rock and roll album.
Well, I think
and she's going to. That's the thing. She felt guilty for being inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when her music is not even there.
Well, is it possible that they're finally but they're taking the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and really turning it into a more general music hall
Well, they
of
should
fame?
change it then.
No, I
To
agree.
the
The name should
American
be changed
Institute of Music, whatever they want. And
But
they
one-
get rid of the rest of
But
them.
once
I
again,
agree.
when you say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, how many people out there like rock and roll, right? Yes.
Well,
And
look-
so-
Well, it's
look-
diminishing.
Look at
Rap
the
music
audience.
now.
Look at the audience you just surveyed back there.
Stand up, John. And so
Rap
so-
music now is number one.
And so when you say that,
I stopped
you-
watching the Grammys.
you're gonna bring in all of those rock and roll
Sure,
people, man.
sure.
It's about revenue, guys.
Right.
It's about the money. Don't ever forget that
No,
one.
no, no,
man.
of course,
It's always
of course.
about those dollars, man. Them
That's right.
dead presidents
And merchandising.
and
for
merchandising. Absolutely.
What is
True.
America saying about this? That's what I wonder. Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, I do. They said that again, like
Yeah.
I've said before, they need to separate it.
Okay.
Willie Nelson's a great artist, but he's not rock and roll.
Plus, he's a bad
Jay-Z's a-
dude.
Yeah, he
his
is.
taxes. According,
Hey.
you know,
I smoked pot with Willie Nelson about 40 years ago. Don't tell anybody.
No.
Don't tell
Keep that
anybody.
amongst us.
40 years ago. Oh,
Yeah,
my
I was-
God.
yeah, I
that
was
only
young.
made Willie 80 at that time.
Right. Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
know what you were smoking, man? Gee.
I did. I was
Kielbasa,
like
that's what they
21
told
years
me he was
old.
doing.
Is that what he
Smoke kielbasa.
Nobody likes, everybody deserves to be recognized for their music that they've done. Cyndi Lauper even said, yeah, she's not really rock and roll, but pop music, but I guess you could put her in there, I guess, because of that. But then you got all the soft rockers, George Michael. Come on.
But don't you have some? But don't you have Slim Pickens? Do you have? Pardon the
Pardon the
pun,
expression of
yeah,
Slim,
Slim
Slim
Pickens.
God Richardson.
But then there's some Slim Pickens in that, maybe in that group, in that old deal,
Well, Iron
where they
Maiden's
need
one
to
of 'em.
expand it.
Well, look
Yeah.
how long it took Kiss to get in there.
No, are they in?
I thought they
I'm
got
not-
in.
I'm
I
not
thought
even
they got
sure
in.
they're in.
Yeah,
That's
I
another
thought
band.
I thought they got
ago.
in a couple of years ago. I
Oh,
could be
I'll have
wrong.
to check on that list because
John, check on that.
yeah,
would you
see if
please?
Kiss got in.
Be
I know
useful back there.
Yeah, do something. Jesus.
Stand up.
And shout. So yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine. It's always
no,
been
I
that
agree.
way.
I got you.
When I see
But I,
that,
I stopped watching the Grammy years ago only because I didn't know the music.
They're
I,
hor-
you
yeah.
know, I don't like songs where I don't hear and understand the lyrics.
Right.
You know, you might as well just go through a McDonald's drive-through. Sorry,
Right.
McDonald's.
right?
You know, to hear that kind of stuff. I don't like the lyrics that are so blatantly unsocietal.
Right.
You have kids listening to that.
Well, rock. They used to play. My mom. I remember when I was a kid listening to Van Halen and jumping over the coffee table like David Lee Roth.
Oh, but that's different.
The
though.
music was fun. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, girls.
Well, you.
Today's.
I don't want to hear I don't want to hear. I heard in a CrossFit workout the lyrics of a song where a guy was literally stooping the girl. I'm being a little clean here.
Stupid.
Literally talking about the act of having sex with the woman,
Yeah.
body parts, and the
Yeah.
whole thing in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I heard it come out of my CrossFit gym, and I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yes.
Because there's kids. They have a kids class that was coming
That's
up
right.
next, and kids are running around in the
Yeah.
gym while the song. That kind of
Yeah.
that does nothing for me.
And these groups, out there in that whole deal, AMA and all of
Yeah.
those guys out there,
Mhm.
they monitor. They say, "Oh man, this is what's hot
Well, they're
right
doing
now."
a pretty crappy job.
You know what? Once again, money talks and everything else walks.
What
guys.
about the early '90s?
Bottom
when
line.
it was the cop killer music, Ice-T and
Right,
Ice
Right,
Cube. and they were all-
absolutely.
Mhm.
It was
You know,
popular
Yeah.
because of what was going on in the
It
neighborhood
reflected
at that
society.
time.
Right.
Yeah, reflected society.
Right, absolutely. So, but I agree. If they're going to start bringing in all walks of music, change the name of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, I
The
agree.
American Music
The
Hall
American
of Fame.
music, yeah, whatever they want.
The American Music RoundTable Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's what you need to do.
And then I've got one.
Sponsored by
Pump it
WWDBTV.
up,
Right.
baby, pump it
I
up.
have one more thing I
Go
wanted to
for it.
say.
Let's do it.
We've had a lot of famous people, stars and actors pass recently. a lot in
crazy
the last
a lot.
month or two.
Schlemiel Schlemazel.
I'm glad you did what you did because that's where I'm going. Cindy Williams, who played,
Yeah.
in Laverne and Shirley,
Yeah,
played
she played
Shirley.
Shirley.
I got a little emotional with her because when I was a kid, I loved watching that show and Happy
Absolutely.
Days and the Fonz, and I remember when they all came
That
in
whole sequence of shows.
and how this is 50 years ago, almost how sitcoms and TV shows were so much more family friendly.
Right.
And talked about family and fun, stupid little things that happened in your household. And
Right.
yeah, there was shows like Three's Company that would have little sexual
Push the boundaries,
innuendos, but there was fun and innocent TV shows
Mhm.
that we all enjoyed. And she's gone now. Penny Marshall's gone
Well,
now.
he's been gone
Squiggy's
for a couple
gone.
of years.
Few years, yeah. Squiggly's gone. Squiggy died in 2020. Squiggly, yeah, Squiggy. It's just all of these great TV shows.
Yes.
They're all leaving now. It's all going to be a thing of the past
Mm-hmm.
of fun TV shows and family time. It just, as you know, we've been around and
Yeah.
we were kids.
Absolutely. Well,
Watching
did you
these
see who
shows.
also passed away this week? Is it Lisa Loring?
Yes, from the original Wednesday from
That's
Addams
right.
Family.
That's right.
She was only 64. I'm
Well, she
thinking,
had
God, I'm
I
only.
think she died of cancer, but she also had drugs in her life.
Of
and
course.
She had a lot of child actors from that time had issues with the drugs and alcohol into the 70s. And
a lot of
made
them
it
didn't
very
make
difficult.
it.
No, a lot of them did not, right? So you have that, but this beginning of the first month of the year, with those who have passed within the spotlight, okay, they tend to get more of the spotlight than this young man down in Memphis.
Of course, because they're famous and they were in our households on TV.
Of course, absolutely. So here's a trivia question for you. Okay, you guys probably know. The day that Michael Jackson died.
Of course, I know where you're going.
Okay. Do you know who died early in that day?
2 hours before.
No,
Before
I
him?
thought it was a little more than that, but yes. But
Farrah
Fawcett
Fawcett
right,
died
okay.
a couple hours before.
So everybody forgot Farrah died and was pushed off to the side because of Michael Jackson.
Right.
Because Michael Jackson was more of a more current star
And transcended the music world. And
who didn't? Raise your hand if you had a poster of Farrah Fawcett in that red bathing suit on the beach in your basement.
it was all sticky and
Yeah,
stuff
it was
too.
all sticky, but that's
I
what
had to
held it
pull
up, though. That's the important part.
I didn't.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh,
with
guys.
that, this thing came off. So let's
There
have a
goes all
gummy
the
to
products.
celebrate.
Hey, we're gonna talk, man, after this show is okay.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, so you're right, but it's just a matter of what's important to society to remember.
Right.
Because you're right. Something after what happened and something else is going to come and push that story back.
It is.
Because after what happened to George Floyd, there should have been no more after that.
Right.
And we still have stuff happening like that.
With the audio and the visual and the 24-hour
To
news.
cycle it, yeah.
You got cameras on sidewalks. You got a million cameras in the city.
We
of
got
Las
cameras
Vegas.
here watching
They're
us.
everywhere.
We got the world watching us right
You
now.
can't
That's
do
right.
anything.
Hi, world.
So that's why I don't understand if you're thinking about doing something bad or illegal, you're going to get
Yeah,
caught
it'll
eventually.
catch you.
Maybe not that moment you do it, but there's a camera out
Something's
there.
gonna catch you in the
Somebody's going to see
backside.
But
it.
again, remember, guys, consequences, accountability. We talk about that all the time, and I'm sure you talk to the parents a lot when the kids come to school.
Right.
Hey, your kid has to be accountable.
Right.
What are you doing for them to be accountable?
Right.
There has to be consequences for what they do.
All right, we have to wrap up. It's just about the top of the hour. Our good friend Ricky Cash always used to say the following: choices, decisions, consequences.
That's right.
All three are always related.
It took
That's
me
the thing.
long. It took me a long time to learn that. I remember the colonel had to call my mom up a couple of times in the military.
Colonel
school.
Sanders?
Right.
You
Yeah,
didn't
you're
finish your dinner?
chicken.
That's right.
Right.
Mine,
All right.
mine was call home, get home, get your ass whipped.
Right.
That was the one.
Right.
Come home before the streetlights turn on. Right?
That's right.
Give you 30 seconds when they turn on to get your butt home. All right, with that, great show. If you missed any part of it, make sure you download the WWDBTV channel on your Roku box. And not only watch this show, you got other great shows on
That's
there.
right.
Aaron Zauer to name one, Aaron Zauer to name another one, Aaron Zauer to name another one.
Jesus.
Lost count anyway. Everybody just caught
Do
that.
we know that guy?
We know that guy.
Aaron
But
Zauer?
there's other great shows here, everything from cybersecurity to news to all sorts of stuff. Check them all out on the Roku channel. We appreciate you following us today and making us part of your day today. George, final thoughts heading out.
As usual, keep your head above water. We know the world's crazy out there, and we want to see you back next week. Love you.
Always watch your back. Take care of yourself. Kids, get a great education.
If you watch your back while you're on a swivel chair, by the way, you'll just end up going in circles. I just thought I'd tell you that.
Shit's falling
Anyway,
apart.
my closing comments as always, be kind to everybody. Why is that? Hey, we're all we have, and we got to deal with it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week right here on the
The
Round Table.
Roundtable.
Thank you, everybody.